Marker,
Take 7.
2, 3. Take 7. We're that bad, huh?
7, 8, 9.
Oh, I thought 7 was good.
5, 6, 7, 9.
That takes me right to Always Sunny. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Always Sunny was always one of those shows that I enjoyed for a time, and then I just got so sick of every character because none of them had any redeeming. And I know, I know that that's what the show is about, but I just give me just a slice of reprieve. Give me something to hold on to like these characters.
That's what the McPoyles are for.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. So my knowledge of Always Sunny is minimal at best, but most of the references I'm not lost on the references.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm full send. My favorite character is Dennis because he is the worst human out of all of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Which is because Charlie doesn't understand how bad he is. He's blissful ignorance.
Oh, for sure.
Mac, just morally imbalanced. And Dennis is just actively a shithead.
He's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. I'm keeping that in the podcast too. But,
perfect. Cold open. That's a beautiful cold open right there.
Either cold open or that'll be the thing that plays after the credits. So Always Sunny.
Right? Just that's a weird left turn.
Coming to you from the beautiful studio here at the Dabbler Depot in beautiful St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome to the Sota Pod. I mean, this is just unbelievable, Jordan. Thank you so much for inviting us. Jordan on my right, Hoppy on my left. Guys, how are we doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad you guys could brave the weather, get in here, see.
It's raining, by the way, everybody.
Hey, but the rain is about to turn into an ice rink. Give it 30, 40 more minutes. It'll be it'll break up the skates and you can just skate home.
Hey, four-wheel drive Subaru, we should be okay.
I was always raised to overestimate how awful it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Because
being that I'm from Canada, but I'm just it's just cold here. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. No, but I mean, we would brave through a storm to come and see you, man. Anyways, I mean, the last time that we visited the Dabbler Depot, we talked about it on the podcast a little bit last April, but it was still very much in construction. And now it's unbelievable. My mind is blown. Before we get into just the crux of the show here, let's just give us the rundown on how this came to be.
Well, yeah, Dabbler Depot is just one part of the business model of the what I kind of colloquially call the Dabblerverse, which is we have our events, our Beer Dabbler events. And obviously with a worldwide pandemic over the past few years, the events were just not an option. Yeah. And we were scratching our heads trying to figure out okay, how are we going to kind of carry on? How are we going to get people paid? How are we going to keep the lights on? And we're a retail store. People are always going to need to have their provisions and libations. And so that kind of got the conversation started about how we can keep serving the community, keep elevating the craft beverage community, especially here in the Twin Cities and around. And we, that's how this place came to be. It was a former liquor store. It then got bought and sold to a guy who owned an animal hospital. And unfortunately, I don't know the full story, but that didn't quite work out. And it sat vacant for 3, 4, 5 years before we put pen to paper and got the property. And it was a concrete box when we got it. It was just cinder block walls on the outside and nothing in the middle. And we were the ones that did 85% of the actual labor. I went to film school, but I now know how to build a building. I'm a carpenter. I'm a framer. I'm a low voltage electrician. I'm a painter. I'm a sheetrocker. I'm a taper, mutter, a floor grinder. Hey, if you see me on the dance floor, that's also a trait of mine. But it's a very strong point of pride for us that we made it happen as best we can. And the store is really a community spot. It's a neighborhood spot, but also we like to think it's a destination spot for those who really want to be involved in the craft beverage community. Our emphasis is on an expertly curated selection of products and hard to find, not necessarily things you see everywhere type products. We've got Bud and we've got Bud Light, but we're not going to have your Bud Light Limerita. We're not going to have your just all the variants of everything that there are, because we want to put an emphasis on high quality, local, support small, all of that kind of emphasis. And that's what we've kind of ended up with. So full service coffee, liquor, beer, wine, huge wine selection. And then on top of that, we also have a coffee shop adjacent to the liquor store that we also sell a whole bunch of different varieties of THC products. So the seltzers, tinctures, gummies, balms, spritzes. I don't know. Like there's a whole smorgasbord of things over there.
So stuff, and it feels like every day there's something new as well. And that's coming from someone who is from British Columbia, Canada. Yeah. And I still am seeing new stuff pop up here in the United States and Minnesota. So that's incredible. Yeah, it is. We are kind of on a new wave of kind of a pioneering trend here, and it's a really exciting time for that kind of segment of the industry because nobody has the right answers, nobody has the wrong answers. Like we're kind of here treading our own path and seeing what works and what doesn't. And so far we think we're doing okay. So we're excited to be open. We've been open since June. So this is our first holiday season, and yeah, really exciting stuff, and just happy to be proud of it, or happy to be here and very proud of it. So
I mean,
a lot to be proud of.
When we came here and we saw back in April, like we saw what was actually going on behind the scenes, and he's not kidding. Like
I was probably covered in just sheetrock dust.
Dust, had the bibs every time.
I think you guys were mudding. You were mudding that day.
Yeah.
So everybody was messy.
I was mudding for about 6.5 weeks. Because I don't know how to tape and mud. Nope. I had to learn, and so obviously I am not proficient. I became proficient eventually, but yeah, it was a long, tedious process of first learning how to do it and then fixing all my fuck-ups that I had made originally.
Yeah. Well, born from the pandemic, really having your lifeblood ripped from you, not being able to do events, we already saw and talked a little bit about what you offer just to the craft beverage community, and even beyond that, wine, spirits, whatever you want, THC, whichever one. As regulations start getting more strict, this is going to be your spot to find THC beverages, because unfortunately we haven't gotten to a place in Minnesota, shocking as it may be, that you can just sell those in liquor stores. Mm-hmm. It is happening right now, and kudos to them. I hope they can continue to do so. But eventually we're probably going to reach the harsh reality that you're going to have to come out to the Dabbler Depot for that. But Jordan, talk a little bit more about how this came to be, not necessarily from the need, but talk about the vision and how unique this place really is beyond the actual alcohol offering.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned how it's nobody's given us the right answers, nobody's given us the wrong answers, because nobody out there has a liquor store, coffee shop, THC dispensary, events company, content studio. That is a very niche business model. And so we don't really have the data to kind of make decisions and move forward and know if what we're doing is working or not working. But really the vision again was be a destination spot and equally be a community gathering spot. We have a patio outside. We have food trucks here. We have educational classes here. Actually, the studio doubles as just a kind of event space for, private tastings. So it's hey, we've got a very specific Japanese wine or Japanese whiskey rep that is, they're going to be opening 2 or 3, $400 plus bottles. Yeah. Spend a little bit of money to come and have an educational experience. And you're not blowing your whole paycheck on a single bottle of liquid. You're still getting to experience. You're still getting to learn. And that was one of our big traits, was making the craft beverage world accessible. Because I know even when I was 21, 22, 23, that was really when the craft boom in Minnesota was happening. And I felt overwhelmed and almost gate kept, because it's the people who were really involved in the industry almost maligned you for oh, you've never had blah blah blah's triple dry hopped IPA, oh my god, you're such a loser. We want to be the opposite of that. We want to be a place that's accessible. We want to be a place that's approachable. We want to be a place of diversity and amplifying voices of the folks that are just not represented in this community, because this industry is a lot of just white dudes with beards, and that's a problem, because white dudes with beards have a very, very slim perspective on everything that's available to make great products. And so our mission is, expert crafted, expert quality, expertly curated selection, and let's bring that to the people who might not have been exposed to that prior. So we're just meeting people where they're at and trying to do it in the most personable and most respectful and most accessible way.
Yeah, and you've really nailed it. And there's so many unique aspects of the Dabbler Depot here that we're going to kind of hit on individually, but you talked about inclusion there. And I mean, you pointed it out, right? Matt has a very unique way of looking at things. And as soon as he does, he acts on it. And it all has worked out beautifully. But to me, the coolest thing that I never even would have personally thought of, even though I am quite the N64 Mario Kart player, talk about the, we'll say the non-craft section of beer in the store.
Yeah, we do. So our beer fridge basically spans the entire length of one wall of the store. And so it's 18 doors, but then across from that is a section where we keep all of our gins, mezcals, pachugas, tequilas, aquavits, like scotches, Japanese whiskeys. So it's just spirits. And the flooring of that section goes from the floor, it goes up to become the wall. And we call that Rainbow Road because in the back corner is where we keep our big macro, like our Budweisers, our Michelobes, our Modelo, just all of the stuff that you can find everywhere. And it's kind of tongue in cheek. Obviously, this is not a direct correlation. But in our experience from what we've seen, the people generally buying those types of products are the people that also might not be as understanding and as open to other worldviews and other ways of living that we believe are important to be represented. And so we put those products back there so that these people have to walk across a rainbow in order to get their products. And it's not
education, baby, all about education.
It's not like we're not trying to insult anybody.
No,
we're not trying
no.
to, but it's like, let's take a second and think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that, honestly. I think that's so cool.
It's not insulting. It's more enforced culture immersion.
Yeah, I'm going to put that on a plaque somewhere and just put hoppy underneath. Yeah.
We said one thing that we would add, and it's just adding creativity to this, like, pretty much like canvas of art here is you got to put some like shells or like a Yoshi or something on the ground.
Etch that quote that you're gonna make the plaque for me of on like the blue turtle shell.
Just the spiky blue turtle shell, just that, because it's like you know that it's gonna hit home. You know it's gonna hit home.
Oh, that's awesome. So we have a lot to hit on, and we're like Hoppy said, we want to kind of break down everything that is the Dabbler Depot here. We talked about a little bit about like the vision of everything, but before we get into all that, let's quickly talk about the events that are coming up. The Winter Dabbler is coming up. You guys are, we're back. We kicked COVID's ass. Yeah. We are back, baby. Yeah. Talk about the Winter Dabbler, the events coming up, and then we'll get into everything here.
Yeah, Winter Dabbler is our biggest and favorite event of the year. Historically, we've put on 3 events a year. Starting in the winter, in February, it's the Winter Beer Dabbler. Then in June, we have the Pride Beer Dabbler, which is the official kickoff to Twin Cities Pride weekend, and then we've had a Summer Beer Dabbler kind of to close out the summer. But yes, our 2023 Winter Beer Dabbler is coming up February 25th from 2:30 to 6. It is at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. It's the second largest event held at the fairgrounds aside from the fair itself.
Wow.
So yeah, this year we're looking to have around 190 to 200 breweries, representing Minnesota, the Midwest, but then we get the big guys, we get the Sierra Nevadas, we get the Firestone Walkers, we get the Dogfish Heads. We're just bringing in the big guys from all over the place. And on top of that, it's like we've got all sorts of activations, such as we're going to have a whole skate park demo going in the Coliseum at the State Fair. We're going to have a wood carver doing live wood carving. Cool. If you guys saw, in our entryway of the store is about a 6.5 foot tall Sasha the Hams bear, which was the wood carving from last Winter Dabbler. So yeah, a guy is literally there doing chainsaw art to these big pieces of wood. So we're still coming up with the design of what we're going to do this year. My idea at this point was to do like a tap handle, and the liquid is pouring into a glass, and then the liquid is like, it's like a snapshot of liquid going into a glass, and the liquid is what like holds the tap handle up above it. And so we're still workshopping that. We might turn that over to our followers on social media to determine if they have got any good ideas.
2026, a Sota pod.
Yeah, we'll talk sponsorship
I know you
dollars.
got the next couple of them that's going to be, right? But I'm planning ahead. Like, I think that you can make a pretty cool sculpture out of that.
100%. We'll workshop some things. We'll sketch some things up. But
I'm curious, though, Jordan, because so admittedly and embarrassingly, I guess, this year is my first year attending both the winter and summer beer dabbler. I've always been busy for them, and of course, unfortunately couldn't make the Pride dabbler because I was out of the country. Mm-hmm. But you talked about, like, yes, big Minnesota presence. I'm actually personally just curious. Like, you talked about some of the big ones around the country. Mm-hmm. Is there any level of recruiting that goes on? Like, you know that there's the breweries out there, whether we're talking the Portland, Maine, we go out to Cali, or like talk a big dog like a Treehouse out in Massachusetts. Like, what level of recruiting goes on? And do you actually go out and try and pursue these places, or is it more you let them come to you guys?
It's a combination of both, and I think it kind of fluctuates back and forth. We've been doing these events since 2008. Was the first kind of official beer dabbler event, and with that, Matt Kennevan, the owner of the Dabblerverse, he has made it a mission of his to forge long-lasting, high-quality relationships with really anybody he meets, regardless of industry background. Like, he is a connection guy. He's a relationship guy, and because of that carries with it a reputation of high quality, of accommodation, of understanding. And so really every event as we kind of prep, and I can only speak to what I know. I am not the events coordinator. We've got a team of other folks doing that. But most breweries, we will put out like an all call, like, if you want to be involved in this event, here is the sign-up form. Here is the paperwork that you need to do. Here is the logistics of what you need to know coming into the event. And from there, the brewery list kind of fills itself out. We work with some nationwide distributors. So, like, one distributing company will bring in 12 brands of East Coast stuff, or of, Atlanta and Tennessee and Florida stuff. And so we kind of work with regional distributors. We work with independent breweries. But yeah, the need to go out and get breweries has never really been all that potent, because I don't want to say they come to us, but like, we have created an air of, like, we know that this event is going to represent our brand well. Like, speaking as a brewery, this event gets exposure. This event, a lot of people are at. This event is a great expose of, like, what a beer festival can be. And granted, there are dozens and dozens of fantastic beer festivals around this country. We are not saying that we're the best. We're not saying that we're doing everything right, but, like,
you're also not saying you're not.
We're like, we hope to always be learning and growing. Is really what it comes down to. And we are always listening and taking into account the feedback that we're getting. Every event, within a week of every event, we send out two different kind of polls. We send one out to our vendors, our breweries, and our sponsors and everything. What can we do better? What about this event made your life bad? What about this event made your life great? Help us understand how we can grow. And then another one, we don't put it out every event, but we want the public to speak up. Like, what are you looking for in these events? Why do you keep coming to these events? How can we, from your perspective, do better? And we always know enough to know that we don't know everything. So let's always just kind of keep refining, keep growing, keep learning, and put on the best party we can, because that's all it is. It's just a beer party. Well,
I got an important one that it's my biggest disappointment in my first Dabbler, and this is not because of you guys. This is a personal lack of
He didn't hydrate, did he?
Oh, no, I was fine with that.
He wore shorts. You wore shorts, didn't you?
Summer Dabbler was a different debacle, but winter Dabbler, I was just fine.
You wore shorts in the winter Dabbler, didn't you?
No. Come on now. I'm bad. I'm not that bad. No, I was very, very sad and just disappointed again in myself when I show up and I see all these people who have these strings around their neck and they're just decked to the nines with food, right? Like, a lot of people, like, it's pretty common for different, like, beer festivals to have, like, pretzel necklaces.
Yeah.
But I think for everyone, and Isha, you need to know this because you're the one that I'm more worried about not making it through the Dabbler. Like, what restrictions are there? Like, can I literally put anything on a string and I can bring it in? Like, can I go to Costco and get a rotisserie chicken and just like slap that on a string and I'm good?
You absolutely can.
Holy shit.
And in fact, we have some social media fodder coming down the pike just to promote that, like in terms of like, yeah, unless it's a firearm or an explosive. Actually, no, maybe I should refine that a little bit. As long as it's edible, yeah, put it on your snack list. That's what we're calling them. That's their name. It is not our term. We did not come up with that expression, but snackless. We've seen all sorts of things. We see Cheez-Its, we see pretzels, we see full-on summer sausage, we see bags of graham crackers. Like,
dude,
I
was
go
in
nuts.
line for the porta potties at the Winter Dabbler, and it was a long line.
Yeah.
And there's two people there with massive necklaces. Like, they got like a full bag of gummy worms. They got chips and stuff, and they're selling them to people in line. And I'm like, that's brilliant.
It's awesome.
That's brilliant.
And hey,
look at that. You can go to the Dabbler and basically get paid to drink.
that's a part of the party. And like, yeah, we also bring along over a dozen food trucks to every one of our events. But like, if you want, save your money. Let's bring in just 40 bags of Cheez-Its around your neck and call it a day.
Yeah, and I know you always are buzzing around, with the gimbal and the camera getting content. But I hope to be in one of those YouTube videos with the rotisserie chicken around my neck.
It sounds
I'm
sticky,
gonna come up with
but
something ridiculous for sure. But no,
I like the chicken idea.
Laura and Hannah actually were in one of the summer videos. Jordan was all. I mean, he is. No one is working harder or buzzing more during these events than Jordan. He is everywhere. I see him like 7 different times. I'm like, I just saw you over there. How are you back behind me now? What?
Cardio, baby. Cardio.
Cardio.
Your poor gimbal, man.
But honestly, it is funny because obviously one of the perks of this job is like I can drink at work. Like I'm a grown man. I can choose when and if I want a beer or anything else. On event day, I'm usually stone sober.
Yeah, that's what you're telling me.
I don't really drink because like I know, not that my capabilities of getting the shot are hindered, but my capabilities of picturing a fantastic shot are just kind of dulled away. And like, so I found that when I am like on the day drinking, a lot of my shots end up looking generally the same. And so I'd rather be more, thought-provoking and intentional with the shots I'm getting rather than just shooting everything. Let me spend a little more time thinking about a great shot, get it 2 or 3 times to make sure I have exactly the framing I want, the action I want. I want to make sure like, because there are some, there are some times where I'm like getting a great shot and then like as I pan to somebody, they're just like doing a snot rocket. And I'm just like, well, it looked good until then. And so it's just about being able to think critically about my own creative process. And I find that I do that better when I'm not drinking. Also, the FAA would usually frown on me flying a drone.
I was just gonna say,
while
aren't you
operating
operating a drone too?
Yeah, I usually I'll pop the drone up in the air usually 2 or 3 times during an event just to capture the big picture, and that's not a legal tree I feel like climbing.
That's fair. And Isha, I'll give you a chance to get a word in, but a couple more questions here that we'll get into more on the Winter Dabbler, but then we'll kind of circle back to just this. I'm not joking, people. Like, I'm not just pumping tires. This is a magnificent facility.
It's amazing.
Well, thank you. Cool. Thank you. That means a lot.
Did you have anything? No,
okay. Go ahead.
All right, well, I'm just going to go nuts then. So, first, last year, we had the gigantic bubble hockey.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned a couple of things that are going on this year. You're going to have the skate park. Is there any other form of, like, activities that people need to be, like, prepared and limbered up for?
So, unfortunately, this year, there will not be giant bubble hockey because...
Too many deaths last year?
There were too many deaths, not enough signed waivers. No, we're kidding. No deaths have ever been cataloged at any beer.
I can't even remember what I'm quoting with that.
But unfortunately, the manufacturing company of the giant bubble hockey is based in California, and they don't understand sub-zero temperatures and the materials that they use to create it. So they obviously ship this thing, like if you can picture it, think about those like athletic domes that are in a college, like just athletic complex. It's an inflatable dome, but it's clear plastic so people can like watch what's going on. And that composite of plastic, when it's cold and like uncracked or like unfolded, just creates a whole bunch of it just cracks and shatters. And so we unfortunately had to retire that and send it back because I actually took photographic evidence of every bit of damage on it after 3 hours of use. And there was 96 different, either they were small or they were full on like 3-foot gashes of just damage. And unfortunately, we would love to have that again. But as I say in this company, the juice was not worth the squeeze of that. And so, but to answer your question, we will be having, like I said, the skate park. We will be having, obviously we always have various musical performers around the whole event, just bumping great music into the crowds.
All local artists?
All local artists. It's, we want to emphasize, not necessarily, like artists who have broken, or who have made it yet. Like we've had Nerdy at a few of our events before he was really big in his band, and now they're doing nationwide tours. And but we do have our resident DJ, DJ Shannon Blowtorch, and her.
What a great name.
I know, she's awesome. She puts on one hell of a show.
Let alone an actual physical blowtorch that goes on throughout the event too.
And that's one of our small activations that we always have is we have literal hot air balloon torches. We've got 8 to 12 of them around the event, just spewing columns of fire into the sky. And so people can, we've got them like quarantined off because you cannot get close to them because they'll just singe your eyebrows off. But like,
everyone's beard here.
People huddle.
People have been like, hey, so I was standing 14 feet away from this thing and my coat melted. Do you guys offer some sort of reimbursement for my damaged coat? And we're like,
just don't stand close to the fire next time.
Like, be a grown-up. Figure it out. But yeah, so that's one of the things. We also have, we partner with the local fire departments, and they're managing big bonfires all around the event. I can't say too much more about the actual fun activations right now. We're still kind of charting out the details of those at the moment. But we are, December, it's mid-December right now. We are 79 days away from the event, I believe. I know my geography is not that great, but I'm just kidding.
That's just an excuse for us to come back here and pump the Winter Dabbler once all these activations are announced.
Right.
Now that I got my fix, I'm going to be back. Don't you worry.
Good.
But off of what you said with all the great music options, I know the Beer Dabbler is a very beer neutral location.
Yep.
But this is my show. You answer my questions.
Absolutely. I'm here to serve.
Which brewery puts on the best party at the show, and why is it Back Channel?
Okay, so the answer to your question is Back Channel Brewing. Back Channel, those guys.
Shout out Josh.
Yeah, Josh Letty and the team at Back Channel Brewing. They are in this business for, I think, the right reasons, and that reason is creating great energy and having fun.
To have fun, right?
To have fun, like beer. As a former colleague of mine always said, and I've really glommed onto it, is beer should not be the conversation. It should enhance the conversation. Yeah. And Josh Letty and the squad over at Back Channel, they take that to heart, and they're like, the liquid in the can is the liquid in the can. It's what's the story, what's the energy, what's the feel and vibe around why we're making that. And so those guys usually will bring with them their own DJ, and we've at this point just accommodated that DJ to be our music, like one of the numerous musical guests. Yeah. And that guy, I am unfortunately forgetting his name at the moment, but
DJ Chimes.
DJ, is that okay?
I think so.
That guy just spins them perfectly, guy.
But
he's great.
They incredible business decision by you guys.